What is up, everyone? I'm Bunkmaster B, your grandma's favorite #influencer, and today we're trying something a little bit different. I just started writing for a website called comicsaredope.com. If you know BJ Kicks, you should, if you don't. But he just started up this website last year, and I am going to be writing a few pieces for it. My first piece is going up, and I thought it might be fun to do a audio version of the essay for people who like to read with your ears instead of your eyes. So what's going to follow is a series I'm starting for right now called Yelling with Comics, because I'm put all my creativity into writing the piece and not naming the series. So from here on out, there'll be some pictures on the screen, but basically, you can just put your phone away and just listen to it and listen to what I had to say. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but we won't know if we've tried. So, here it is.
When a kaiju isn't a kaiju. James Patrick and the changing face of genre crossovers. Check out the indie rack at any local comic shop, and you're likely to find any number of books described as "It's genre Y meets fandom X." Seriously, you can't avoid it these days. Want post-apocalypse meets indie rock? We've got that. Interested in a haunted house crossed over with tokusatsu/Power Rangers? Yeah, we got that too. It makes sense. It's a way to bring familiar ideas into new settings, to play with your favorite toys in a different sandbox. These days, kaiju, or Japanese-style giant monsters, are one of the most popular candidates for the genre crossovers, with titles like Kaiju Max, traditional kaiju, Ultra Mega, Kaiju Body Horror, Jenny Zero, Kaiju, and Burnt Out Party Girls, filling long box after long box of current titles. With so much competition, it's hard to stand out in the crowd. But for my money, no one in comics is doing it better than James Patrick. His secret? His stories may have big monsters, but he's not using them to tell a kaiju story. James Patrick isn't new to the comic scene. For over a decade, he's been writing spots on DC titles like Green Arrow and Harley Quinn, but his recent work for Aftershock Comics has really been putting him on the map. In 2020, he put out the Kaiju Score with artist Rem Brew, a book he described as, quote, a Quentin Tarantino film taking place in some corner of a Godzilla movie, end quote. It's got all the hallmarks of a classic heist book, from assembling the crew, to dealing with a double cross in the middle of the job, to the job looking like it's going to break down when something goes wrong. As you can guess from the name, it features big monsters who fight each other. In the hands of a lesser writer, this pairing could lead to a formulaic and pretty forgettable book. But Patrick does something clever in his writing of this story, namely, not splitting his storytelling focus across the two genres. Make no mistake, this is a crime book through and through. It just happens to take place when two giant monsters are fighting. By keeping the focus on the heist storyline Patrick wanted to tell, he kept the story moving forward at a rapid pace that never got bogged down by trying to introduce too many elements from both sides of the genre. Kaiju aren't the focus of this book, they're the setting. By doing this, we're getting all the benefits of the kaiju genre, namely getting to watch big cool monsters fight each other, while not sacrificing any overly elaborate plot exposition that slows the pace down. When Marco is explaining the plan to his crew, the kaiju in it are no different than the changing of a guard shift would be in one of Richard Stark's Parker novels, but it happens to look a heck of a lot cooler. By focusing on the heist storyline and not getting lost in the genre crossover, the Kaiju Score is able to tell a complete crime story, feature some absolutely fantastic action set pieces, and set up for the sequel, which is the Kaiju Score Steal from the Gods. Number 1's coming out April 13th. You should definitely buy it. I'm just saying, it's going to be great. And just 4 issues. It's what all good genre mashup comics should aspire to. If we're following Patrick's earlier quote about the Kaiju Score being a Tarantino movie, it's Reservoir Dogs. His follow-up series, Campisi, The Dragon Incident, also from Aftershock, this time with art from Marco Locati, is Pulp Fiction. Once again, the book is a genre mashup that mixes crime and monsters. The crime in this, however, shifts from heist to organized crime. The monster is now a dragon. Once again, Patrick uses the dragon to differentiate itself from other crime books on the shelf and lure readers in with the promise of a fantastical dragon story. because, after all, dragons are dope. Once again, Patrick shows a pretty perfect understanding of writing a genre mashup miniseries and keeps the focus on the titular Campese, a fixer for the local crime family, going to work to fix the problems for his boss's operations. That problem he happens to be fixing this time is a dragon occupying the town. Maybe that sounds new to you, but I guarantee you it's not the first crime story you've read of a powerful new force trying to muscle in on the local organized crime operation. It should, however, be the next you read. I had the privilege of meeting James Patrick at a local con. We're buds now. He told me to call him Jim. You can't call him Jim, though. Only I can. While picking his brain / yelling about how much I loved his books, I asked if Kaiju Scorn's Campese take place in a shared world. He sort of shrugged and said there's no reason why they couldn't, but it's not really something he's overly concerned with. With a lesser writer, you might think they were being lazy and flippant with their world building to not know if these two worlds exist concurrently. With Patrick's focused approach, I think he's right to not concern himself with whether these are the same or different settings. It's this tightness of story in a genre mashup comic that has made all of James Patrick's books blind buys for me forevermore. If your favorite genre is good comics, maybe he should be a blind buy for you too. I've been Bunkmaster B. This is me yelling about comics.